Good evening. My name's Jason and welcome to Shed Life Oz. This evening I want to talk about employment training and skill shortages in this country. As time goes on, we seem to be struggling with training tradesmen and finding workers to fill positions in this country. And we're at the point now that all our farm work is being No, not all our farm work. Our farm work is increasingly being supported by overseas immigrants in the form of Pacific Island workers, backpackers from Europe, Asia, and we as Australians refuse to do the work. The work is difficult, it's hot, it pays reasonably but not fantastically, and it seems that we have a belief that we need to, as a collective, we need to earn good money as opposed to drawing what's a reasonable wage. At the age of 55, I don't do farm work anymore. Probably could still do mangoes and avos, picking or shed work, but I'm happily doing what I'm doing in the business that I'm in. Previously I have done farm work. I've picked bananas, picked mangoes, short time picked tobacco, which was fucking terrible. And I enjoyed some of it. Like the bananas was good work, it was hard work, and to be a banana humper you had to be fairly strong and capable. Young people don't seem to take pride in being able to do physical work anymore. Maybe social security is too easily given. I'm not sure. No, I'm not sure. I just don't think manual labour is not valued in society in a way that it used to be in my generation, in previous generations. There was a certain pride in being able to go out and physically do a hard day's work. I was released from prison in November 2021 after 20 years. Prior to that, I'd done all sorts of work, like farm work, obviously. I'm a tradesman, electrician, built mainly power lines. I've done furniture removal, block layers labouring, builders labouring, steel fixing, any job that I could find, furniture removal, hard work, I enjoyed it. I took pride in my ability to do that. Upon my release in 2021, I thought, well, I'm a reasonably healthy 52 at the time. I was going to go out and do some hard work. Early 2023, I jumped in my van and I went to a building site at 5:45 in the morning, because block layers used to work from 6 till 2, and just driving around housing estates that were being built. I pulled up a site, the first site I pulled up at, there was 2 block layers there with no labourer, and they gave me a start immediately. That someone my age and my build, I'm 76 kilos probably, and that probably comes up as 160, 170 pounds in American money. They gave me a start is ludicrous in my eyes, but nothing worse for a block layer than to have to do his own labouring. So I started work with these men, and they can't find labourers. No one wants to do that sort of work anymore. That I was, the age I was, my hands were soft, my back was bad, and I stuck with those fellas for not very long, probably a month or two, 2 months tops, and they don't work hard like I remember block layers working. In the 90s, when I was a block layers labourer in the early 90s, or in late 90s again, I'd support 3 block layers with blocks and mud. Block layers and brick layers, same job, just concrete blocks instead of clay bricks. Block layers put down, or used to put down about 250 blocks each a day. With 3 block layers, you're putting down 750 blocks a day. You look after them with blocks and mud, clean the floors, sort the jobs out, scaffolding, cleaning walls, all sorts of things. In 2022, when I did it again, 2 block layers, they'd be lucky to put down 200 blocks a day each. They didn't work what I'd call very hard, and that's not to say they weren't nice blokes and they weren't making a good earn, but they know comparison to what block layers used to be, and as a labourer I was fairly hopeless because I was old and slow and soft, and shit it hurt, and the pride copped a hiding on that, and that was a box tick for me because that was something I thought in prison that I would be able to do, and it was a wake-up call to act my age. But it demonstrates what the skill shortage is, that someone my age and in my physical state can walk onto a site and get a job instantly. It demonstrates how desperate people are for workers. I find it comical that I could do that. I still have good relations with those block layers. They were fine, they were good people. I enjoyed them. That I can't do the work is just, I'm physically not capable these days. The young people aren't doing that sort of work. I don't understand why. It didn't pay fantastic when I went back to it. Back in the late 90s, it was paying about $18, $19 an hour, and that was as a casual. In 2022, it was paying $25 as a subcontractor, which is ludicrous. Yes, the job's gotten easier, I'll give it that, but that level of pay is hopeless for the work that's being done. But this is not just block laying, it's across the board. I'm screen printing and have been for nearly 3 years now. The screen printing shop, I set that up early 2022 and didn't get serious about it until about mid-2022. And so it's been 2.5 years realistically that I've been serious about the screen printing, and it's slowly finding traction. But the young tradesmen that I deal with, when they come into the shop, they run off their feet and have more work they could ever hope to have. And this is, they have a gold ticket. They have a gold ticket for the next 10 to 20 years because that's how long I believe that it will take to fill the gap with the skill shortage. And we probably won't fill that gap with young Australian people. The gap will probably be filled with immigrants, and that raises different problems. Skill sets are different in different countries. Expectations of quality are different. So it'll be interesting to see how they go regulating what skill sets or what standards are maintained with skill sets, and what sort of workers that we end up with here. But I could suggest we'll probably end up with a lot of Indian workers. They seem to be keen. The Vietnamese people work hard, they're keen. The people from Vanuatu that are picking our fruit and carrying our bananas, and they're keen, they're hungry. The money they send home to their family is a fortune. So That's where our workforce is heading, and that's where our populations are probably going to head. So changes are happening. It's a shame that we can't get our own young people to engage in this working to earn a living and having pride in having earned a living. Its pride in self seems to have gone. But our schooling starts at a very early age with awarding everyone with certificates for turning up. Participation awards have been around for a while now, and it suggests to people that you've left school with a whole heap of awards because you've turned up. Well, good on you for turning up. I can put in a bit of effort and do something with yourself once you've turned up. Because turning up isn't going to get you across the line. The TAFE system, probably back when I was doing my apprenticeship back in the late 80s, started to change from receiving grades for each course, which was a percentage pass mark. You did a test and you got a percentage of how many marks you got for that test. And during, I said, the late 80s, early 90s, it went from that to a J and M system of grading, and we referred to it jokingly as joy or misery. If you got a J, it was a pass, and if you got an M, it was a fail. And this is spread through all of the TAFE system, and it's competency-based assessment. So you're no longer graded as to how good you are at it, you're just graded as being good enough. It doesn't really reward the ones that achieve excellence in their area, because they receive the same grade as the ones that barely scrape in. And most employers will pay for the excellence. They're looking for the excellence. They're not looking for someone who just managed to get over the line. There's no reward for overachieving anymore. It's disappointing. Like I'm middling, and middling, yeah, it is what it is. Productive at some levels, fucking hopeless at other levels. And that's just my lot in life. But there's some people that are just really good at what they do, and they should be rewarded for being really good at what they do. I did an apprenticeship from 1985 through to 1989. And I started when I was 15 years old. I'd had enough of school by then, and I was told I wasn't being allowed to leave school until I found myself an apprenticeship. So I went and got a newspaper and promptly found myself an apprenticeship and left school. 15-year-old boy working with the local electricity authority with a group of 30-odd men. I went from a peer group that I was comfortable in into a peer group that I needed to find a place in, and I quickly started drinking, which was interesting, and probably the ruination of me for the next 17 odd years till I was locked up. Then probably, well, it did contribute significantly to my offending behaviour and a whole heap of violence and nastiness from the age of 17 through to 32. But that was being a young alcoholic, binge drinker, and that was a supported behaviour, I would suggest. People encourage the young fella to have a beer. And isn't he a funny little fucker? Probably not. In hindsight, it was bloody hopeless. But I was happy to be working, and I was happy to be working with men outdoors building power lines and doing big things. I took great pride in that. Prison and TAFE were a different thing. There was education standards in there. But I might leave it at that for the moment and get back for a further discussion on this topic shortly. On that thought, I'll leave you till later.